it's about Bermuda and the well-being of Bermuda, and for all Bermudians, whether you be black, pink, yellow, green, or white, and that's what's important to me. And until white people, and I was to talk about an experience 2 weeks ago in my vestry meeting, because I served on the Race Relations Committee of the Church of England again, and we talked, but the white people didn't talk to us. We couldn't get anything out of them, nothing.
And how did that?
And it just panned out.
How did that make you feel, though?
But it made me feel, well, why worry? Just go on. Maybe that's not the reason why we're here. We're here for the well-being of the church, the spiritual, and let's go from there. If we can work together, but white people don't talk back to us.
I think the question that could be asked is maybe to white people is what is it that you feel when you find yourself in a situation like that where people would like you to talk and share your feelings? What is it that you feel? Is it a fear of exposing your feelings? Are you afraid that people will slap you down for what you say? People will, give you bad looks or make you feel uncomfortable about how you feel. I mean, I think that's a question that might be asked. I think that my feeling is, when I'm not a white person, but I imagine that often in situations that I find myself in, if I don't feel comfortable to speak, often it's because I fear there's going to be some kind of bad reaction.
Consequence.
Yeah.
Sure. And I hear that a lot from friends that I have who are white, that they have opinions, and of course they'll share them with me private because they know that they can. Mm-hmm. But they feel there's an underlying anger towards them from black people. Mm-hmm. And they want to speak what is their truth, but they know that there will be ramifications, or fear there will be. And so they don't say anything. Mm-hmm. And it's getting to the point where, I was talking to a white friend today, actually, and he says, you really got to come together, for this. He says, it's getting crazy now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to lose Bermuda, all of us, if we don't just not forget the past, but, acknowledge it and learn from it. But we need to sort of let it go so that we can move forward here, because we can't use the ideas from the past to try to create our future. We have to learn the lessons, but we have to do things differently. You can't do it the same. Mm-hmm. And
but let me ask you, you said something interesting. You said you're Black Bermudian. That's how you identify yourself. You said my white friends can talk to me, because they know I'm not gonna. Mm-hmm. What is it that you do that makes them feel a certain level of comfort to be able to? What do you do?
I think for me, it's just my upbringing. I think there's always been race mixing in my neighborhood.
Okay.
Dennis is my best friend in the world. And my father was a police officer for 25 years. And so as a sergeant, he had a lot of young English police officers coming over, and they weren't sure what to do yet. And so he was not only a worker, was he there help, but so there was always guys in and out of the house who were not black, lived close to the base, so there were lots of American kids, and we all played together. So I never really had that separation.
Okay.
And I don't think I bring that into any space I'm in, so people feel comfortable, it's a great thing. I mean, the experiences that I've had, being able to have that diverse, and now I live in Canada, so it's even cooler. But it's great. But it's just but getting back to the point, there's definitely a fear that if they say something or say the wrong thing or is mistaken, that there could be some consequences in some way, and so they rather just. Most of the people I know would just, say it to me or amongst themselves where they feel safe. But you can't be safe all the time. You got to step out of that. But
I think that's it. Nobody wants to be labeled a racist, and so you're voicing your opinion.
What happens if you are labeled a racist? What happens? Is the sky going to come crashing in or something like that?
Well, people don't know. It's the unknown, especially in a small community like this. I would say it's difficult because people worried that, their face is out there and they've been flagged with a certain opinion, whether it be racist or not. So it's difficult, I would say, definitely in a small community to stand up and voice your opinion. I've had the similar conversations with black friends, but sort of en masse in public, this is probably the first time to an unknown group of people that I've discussed such issues. So, and I can't say that I would have discussed it with every Black Bermudian that I know. Definitely, there's some security in speaking to a friend about it.
Yeah.
Because you know that they'll understand, they'll have some understanding of where you come from, what your upbringing is, or what your background is. So.
Help me out here. What if somebody actually stands up and they say, yes, I am racist. Here are the reasons why I feel the way I do. What do you think? Is there sort of...
I sure they represent hatred.
Hatred?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see anybody standing up and admitting that they're racist and having a whole bunch of people gather around them to support them. They would have a circle just open up around them because nobody would want to be associated with them. Because the word racist, to me, represents a certain amount of hatred and just bad energy.
And I think that's come to light a lot recently. When we talk about Bermuda for Bermudians, it's been associated with Black Bermudians. And it has put a lot of division in just saying that. And certain people that have come forward and say Bermuda for Bermudians and refer to just Black people, they have in the community been kind of labeled as in a negative person, not necessarily positive. Some will associate a positive thing, but most people come up and say, well, Bermudians, Black, white, Portuguese. So you just picking on, you're saying Bermudians are only Black people? I think that has put a lot of division recently, in Bermuda especially, because we keep talking about going forward for the country, the community, and yet all you hear in the paper is Black Bermudian. And there becomes an association that if you're Bermudian, you're only Bermudian if you're Black. And the only thing we're doing things for in the country is for Black people. We're trying to push Black people forward. So it does bring some sort of division. And I think I was talking to some teens recently, and that's what they were saying, that, first we'll be talking about race relations and bringing people together, but yet we're always bringing up that dividing thing, that there's Bermudians are just Black people.
And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. I mean, it's that squeaky wheel gets the grease. If it's only Black people talking,
Yeah.
it's the only perspective you're going to get. I mean, so there needs to be an atmosphere where white Bermudians can say, okay, you know what, I feel comfortable about at least that I can express my thoughts, my views, and be respected for it, and not labeled, and just let me say my piece. I mean, I think sometimes people can be racist and not know it if they're ignorant to what racism is.
That's it.
And that's the other thing. I mean, I'm sure I've said things, I know I've said things, not necessarily racist, but I had a certain view.
Yeah.
And someone said, well, wait a minute. What about this? Did you think about that? I'm like, oh, gosh, I changed that idea because and that comes from dialogue. We just, we're trying to do here. But it's important if you have to acknowledge there's a problem and then you have to get together and move on it. Bermuda is not doing that right now.
Yeah, but we all agree that racism is a problem in Bermuda, right? Yes, racism. Have we all agree that it is a problem?
Yeah.
That it is an issue, I should say.
I agree it's an issue, but I also see, and I'm comfortable with saying that we are maturing as a country, and we are making inroads, into helping one another feel comfortable with one another. I happen to be, like the young lady was saying earlier, the integration in the schools. I was there at 1971 in Whitney, and that integration. And then I have a lot of open conversations with a lot of friends of all races and cultures and religion. And I feel very comfortable, and I find that it's really, each one of us, was said already earlier, we can make a difference. And, just reaching out and just loving and just letting people know that there's love in your heart, and I feel that as a country we have made inroads and we're maturing in that area. But one of my concerns is actually, and I work a lot with the youth, and I have 3 children of my own, is the youth, because there seems to be another mixed culture, mixed signals that are coming from, be it the media, TV, that type of thing. These kids are picking up in songs and a bit of extra stuff that's kind of infiltrating. But apart from that, certain body of us in our age, or my age category, I feel we made a lot of inroads, and I feel comfortable with that. And I think, we're going to continue to do that. We're multicultural right now. I mean, there's so many people, coming to Bermuda working. I was originally from the Portugal, Azores Islands, and I have family in Brazil. And, there's diversification, and you just learn to accept one another, to love one another where we're at. So I feel, that we're making progress.
But when you're in a multicultural setting, right? What I find is that if the leader is a white person, and I have nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with that. If you have an organization and you're the head of it, and you want the organization to be successful, you look at your own, because you look at your own color and the people that you feel that can work on your behalf. When it's a multicultural situation, we are just as good. And if we take the ball game on the same even keel, we all have the same qualifications, we can't get in there. You take your own, and we still don't stand a chance. No one's willing to step out as a white person and say, okay, look at this person has this, that, and the other. Why don't we offer it to you? It doesn't happen like that. We need to be real. We don't need to be superficial about it. And if we can sit here and talk
But that's why I said earlier.
be real,
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. It's just being completely honest. And unfortunately, again, I think what's stopping us from doing that is because it's such a small community. The way we've been raised is not to be too vocal about it or to voice your opinion about it, but to quietly have the conversations on the side with your friend or, at a party maybe, but not to voice your opinion about it. And I think you're very right. I agree with you. It's something that does need to be addressed. But I think the important thing is that it's not used to further, other people's gains, that we should be focusing on the issue, and the issue is race, that maybe it should be taken out of the politicians' hand, taken out of those people who have the most control out of it, maybe, out of the media's hand, as you're saying, and be dealt with by maybe organizations like CURE or some community or group within the community that's respected and seen on an even level by all races in Bermuda. I think that's the only way to move forward, to be honest about it.
Would you come with me to, say, Devonshire? Just even have a drink or cocktail? Would you join Devonshire? Would you join Somerset Cricket Club? We'll join the Lions, we'll join Rotary, we'll join Kiwanis. It's mixed. Would you come? We could socially come.
I think part of that, though, is not necessarily race, but more cultural. Because I've been brought up in Bermuda, and I was brought up with young Black Bermudians, and those are the places I used to frequent. I grew up around Harrington Sound and Devil's Hole, so we went to cricket games together, went to Bailey's Bay Cricket Club and things like that. And I didn't have a problem with it at that time. I still don't have a problem with it, but I can kind of track how that division has come about and how I lead my life now. And it's not a conscious thing, I don't think, on my part, not to be with Black Bermudians, my Black Bermudian friends. It's more a cultural thing, whereas, I've been exposed to maybe you can say more white North American culture, and those are the things that I like to do. So it's not me consciously saying, I don't like hanging out with Black Bermudians. It's more, that sort of decision. So.
Yeah, like I too, just to echo what he's saying, grew up in a similar type of environment and neighborhood, and played soccer for many people on the island, and we even, it's really, we can all make a difference. And my wife and I, we left a Roman Catholic church as an example to go to a 90% all Black church here on the island. We moved. Our families were like looking at us, not so much, it was a combination of the two, and friends. What are you doing? And I met wonderful people, and that's how we can make a difference. And like our sister was saying, in the workplace, there's so much opportunity. I have a lot of good stories as well, and that's why I feel that we're making progress. We have, and in Bermuda. And where we're at, there's always going to be opportunity to reach out to our brother, and just love him or her, no matter what color or race we're at. And they will know your love, where you're at. And I think that will bring you together, and just respect one another.
I think I consider myself black. Well, some people think I'm white brown, but I don't think so. I think I'm black or whatever. Well, in the inside, I think I'm any color. I am a part of the cure. Are you?
I wonder about how Portuguese people really feel in this community. How do they really feel like they are accepted, like everybody else? Do they feel that they're still treated differently? Do they still feel there is some
Well, for instance, who are you talking to?
I don't know. Are there any Portuguese people here? I mean, I'm just, I don't get much opportunity to talk to other Portuguese people in this way. Yeah.
I mean, I could maybe answer that. Came here 40 years ago, and my grandfathers on both sides had been here. Had been here in the early 30s or so. And I think we kind of integrate very easily, because I still recall coming here as a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, a bit of segregation, like with the Portuguese. We were Portuguese, and we were a bit inferior. We were here to work, manually and that type of thing, manual labor. And so I guess we grew up being segregated, so we know what it is to be segregated. And but we know how wrong it is, because it felt bad, being classed as a different class, But we've overcome that, and I keep going back to, I know we're making inroads, because I came from that era where we're at today. My own children, having 3 of them, one being 22, right down to 14 and 18-year-old. And, and we can feel for both sides, and also understanding immigrants, people, we're a nation now just full of, the ethnic groups just keep changing on us. In the last 5 years, so much has happened in that area. That's a reality. And we reach out to them. I do personally, just love everybody no matter what, And I think that's, that'll make the difference. And again, as a Portuguese, I've had that experience. I visited a ghetto, as an example, a year ago in a country nearby one of our other islands, and I just took my children last month to the same place and showed them a ghetto. You said you grew up in a ghetto. In that environment, I spent 10 days there, and we felt comfortable the whole time. This is a predominantly 99% black country, and it was like we felt comfortable. And I think my kids already grew up with that comfort, And Bermuda, we don't have ghettos. You understand what I'm saying? So. We've come a long way. That's what I'm saying.
There's no ghettos in Bermuda.
I had to take them away to see a ghetto.
You had to take them away to see a ghetto.
I was wondering.
So we've come a long way. I mean, they were comfortable. And so it means a lot. I mean, they grew up with a father and mother that just love people, I think that's where it's at.
If you don't mind, are Portuguese people still fighting the label of the farmer, the person who grows food? Or do you feel that the Portuguese people feel like they have to be, having to deal with that all the time, of that stereotype of?
I doubt it, because the Portuguese people.
I would like a Portuguese person to.
Yes.
Well, you keep looking over here.
You trying to get something out of me?
Well, I was looking at it.
Yeah.
She's beating around that bush.
Yes, maybe you should explain a bit of your background and everything.
My parents are Portuguese. I classify myself as Dennis, that grew up that was born and raised in Bermuda amongst whites and blacks. Culturally, I don't identify myself as any particular of any particular background. I just consider myself Dennis, and what I stand for are my thoughts on everything that I do and I say.
Are you black or white?
I am Bermudian.
Yes, question. You're Bermudian.
When pure papers come out, I'm the other.
Okay.
So I can't really answer questions specifically to do with Portuguese because I don't feel that. I honestly don't feel that I'm prepared. I'm able to answer it honestly for you because I don't think that my experiences are the same as somebody else's.
Where'd you go to school?
St. George's Prep.
Grew up in St. David's.
Grew up in St. David's.
Say more about that, because I mean, what was that experience like then?
What, growing up?
In St. David's or St. George's or wherever.
It was great. It wasn't anything. To me, I really didn't experience racial divide within my group of peers. I actually saw it within the adults more so. Words being spoken but not acted on.
The adults meaning your parents or your
my parents, other children's parents.
What sort of things would they say?
Just things like you would see them interact. You would see, say, Portuguese people interact with black people and act like they were all friendly and stuff. And then once the black people left, they'd be talking about them, and you as a child would sit there and be like, "What's going on here?" I thought they were just friends. Yeah, I thought they were friends just now. And it was very confusing to me as a child because I had and still have a lot of black friends. And to me, it's always been about, not are you black or are you Portuguese or white, but are you cool?
Okay.
Are you a nasty person or are you cool? So cool? We're friends.
Why were you able to do that? Why were you able then to almost reject or ignore that talk that you heard the teachers or the parents, say? What?
I would have to say because of the love that my mother taught me.
Okay.
She was born in the Azores, but came here as a very young child, I think 9. And so she was raised around the blacks and interacted with a lot of black families as we were growing up. She knew, and we associated ourselves with a lot of black families. The love that she taught me was to love people for people, not the color. And that's how I was able to, even as a child, to distinguish between saying, you know what, those are some nasty people to be able to do that. Be one way in front of them, and then turn around and speak about it in another. And you just grow up, and that's why sometimes I have issues with identifying oneself as a race. Why not identify yourself as yourself? Are you full of love? Are you a loving person? Or are you just a nasty person? Doesn't really matter what color you are.
Do you think his experience is common to, let's say, families or business, where yes, on the surface we're getting together and, it seems as though we're friendly, but then the second you go back to your own little world, things change? And
I think in a certain generation it definitely was. I could see that growing up as well.
Yeah.
And you wonder why, you only socialize at one point in the week or one point in the month or the year, sort of thing. Why are these groups of people only together at this point in time? Why are they not friends continuously? And incidentally, as you grow up, you begin to understand the complexity and the other issues surrounding, those relationships. But, so I don't think. Well, I don't know. From my experience, I see most of my experience in terms of my life. I still see most of the divide to do with culture rather than race. I mean, and I know the two probably intertwine and people think of them as one and the same thing, but I don't know why I try to see them slightly differently. Maybe just trying to do that, trying to appreciate someone for for not their race, but their cultural differences from myself. So,
Say more about what are those cultural differences?
well,
Give
you were
an
saying
example.
about going to Devonshire Rec to have a drink with you, right? Those are the little subtle things like that on the ground, sure. I mean, I know physically I could go with you to Devonshire Rec and have a drink, and I probably wouldn't have any problem. But sure, there's some things that come from my society that make me feel probably a little uneasy about that, a little apprehensive about doing that I might not be accepted. But probably deep down, I probably would be accepted. It would be okay. So those sorts of things, and I think it's also to do with not just your upbringing, but your education. If you go abroad to get educated, then quite quickly more often than not you are divided along cultural lines or racial lines. So you start to associate with a certain race or a certain culture. So that's what I was talking about before. When you come back, and you might not think about it, but you soon start to see that what you do and who you socialize with and what makes up part of your culture is actually in Bermuda split along racial lines. So.
I don't really refer to myself as anything, but it's mostly white. I don't really care what people say about me. Let me decide what I am. I am a part of the cure. 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 I'm a part of the cure. I am a part of the cure. Are you? Are you?
I would just like to say that I'm just going to change this up a little bit because my experience from growing up in Bermuda as a child was not being accepted by my peers because I was too dark. Mm-hmm. And that was a real problem in my day of growing up. And so, when you're too dark, you just get ostracized. Mm-hmm. I think that one of the things that for myself I find that I had to do was I had to learn how to be comfortable with who I am. Mm-hmm. And I'm very comfortable with who I am. And I had to teach that to my children as well. Right now, I find myself in a totally different place when it comes to how I feel about the entire race issue. I've just gotten back to Bermuda not too long ago. I've been living overseas, and I can say that from living overseas, it's really interesting how America in particular divides everything along some kind of racial or cultural lines. And so I can understand how the international companies will tend to sway more toward the white male rather than the black male, or even the black Bermudian, whether it's male or female. So that was an experience, that was a learning for me. I can say that I've noticed that I travel by the bus. I don't have a car. So things that I have noticed since I've come back home, like summers in particular, has been, number one, that white people are infiltrating predominantly black neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I can see that. Mm-hmm. I can see more white people catch the bus. Mm-hmm. These are things I notice, not children, not the school children, mm-hmm. but white folk in particular. They catch the bus every day. There are certain people that you can look for. They will be on the bus. I've even done my own statistics now. Many white people on this bus today. Against, and it's so.
Is that important to you? Does that make you feel good to know? Why is that important?
Okay, from a I just like statistics. Mm-hmm. And from a statistical point of view, I'm just curious. It's just my curiosity. I'm saying, okay, Well, it's more white people living in this area now than was before. That's the whole statistic.
Yes.
You know, and if we're not paying attention to that, we'll miss that. And so it tells me some things about what's happening in Bermuda that we need to pay attention to. And one is that white people they are also in some instances in the same situation that we are in as Black Bermudians, and that is they're feeling the crunch too, you know, so, or because they are also looking at cheaper rent, you know, and these type of things. So, you know, that has been my own personal survey. And so those are things that I've been paying attention to. You know, I feel a bit totally out of the mainstream of how things are happening in Bermuda when it comes to race and how most Bermudans feel about race, because that is no longer my focus per se. My children are grown, and so, you know, I feel that they are, you know, I brought them up and they should be able to at least represent themselves in situations like that.
I have a burning question for you.
Sure.
Do you think that we as Black folks concentrate on skin color too much?
That's a good question. Do we or don't we? Who knows? I cannot answer that. I think that that's an individual question for a person, and you've asked me, and I would say I really don't know. I do know this, though, that issues about race do concern me, you know, and I'm very concerned about fairness. And when it comes to someone being overlooked in a job situation because it comes down to race, I'm not pleased about that at all. And if it were my children, I would be I'm telling you, very upset. So, you know, when it comes to a situation like that, it becomes very personal, I believe.
I wanted to make a point that, you know, I was thinking earlier, how do their thinking evolve to the place where it is? And, you know, like, where did I get the courage to turn that thing off? I think that it's because I had to leave Bermuda. You know, I lived in a different environment so that I could start seeing myself in a different way, right? And I could just not have all of that stuff around my head, you know, and just be me, kind of discover, you know, who's me, you know. And so when I came back, you know, 9 years later, you know, I had my son with me and so on. Even though it was challenging to, you know, the environment was still there, you know, the no-go, the yes, the no. I had sufficient understanding about me and what was important to me to make that choice. I think that it might be difficult for people who don't have that perspective. I think that it's harder for them to break out of, you know, the cultural mindset.
So then you were able somehow to not have to listen to maybe what Granny and Grandpa were
all
saying.
Those voices.
Or all those voices that are out there trying to somehow
keep you in line, keep you in the box that is sort of set for you, that's made for you, you know, to stay within a certain place. And you know, I hear you saying what you just said, and I know that's not easy to say no to that, you know, because it's very complex, you know. It's like 1,000 voices in your head that are saying, you know what we've been through, you know, you can't go and do that now, you know, like we've been, you know what our parents went through. You just can't go and you know, that's too radical, you know. And yeah,
I get that experience too on that same thing. When what helps me is because of the way I was brought up, you experience people, white people, Black people, and you have your own experiences. So when someone says something or suggests something to you along those lines, you say, you know what, I don't need your experiencing because I know that
That's interesting.
every black person is a drug dealer, every black person. I know that because I've experienced black people. I also know that every white person is out to keep me down as a black person because I've experienced wonderful white people. I have my own experience and I've made my own decisions based on my experiences. And I think it's important to do that. It's important to say, okay, you know, you would have an experience, a wonderful experience you shared with me. Like I haven't experienced segregation. I haven't experienced. We were talking earlier about neighbors helping neighbors. You know, I still experience that in my little neighborhood. I have my own experiences. So I think it's important that that we do that. That we live our lives. We have our experiences, and we make our decisions about who's going to be in our life and who we're going to choose based upon principles, not upon somebody else's past experience of a white person or a black person or a Chinese or a Filipino or whatever. It's my life, my experiences. And what happens a lot of times you hear people writing or espousing their experiences as absolute truth, but it's their truth. It's not my truth, you know. And we have to have the courage to say, you know what? I understand what you're saying. I appreciate it, and I'll be aware of what you said and look out for it myself. But I'm still going to go ahead and I'm going to experience this white person in my way. I'm going to experience this in my own experience, and I'll make my own decisions. That's sort of how I look at it.
The thing is that it's not like my job to change other people. It's really more my job to change myself and to live my life to the fullest. If those people don't want to come where I am, that's their business.
But you expect government to change everything. Every
No.
time you turn around, if something goes wrong, it's falling back on the government. You know, the government should have done this, or the government should have done the other. But we as a people have not taken up the cause.
Yeah, I guess we're.
No? We need, you know, we need to take up the cause ourselves. Let's help. You know, we are Bermudians. What do you want for Bermuda?
I think direction, though, can come from people who influence
Right, and
society
sometimes
and our
direction,
community.
that's right, and
So-
sometimes direction comes from the bottom up.
That's
It don't always come from the top down. You get better direction from the bottom up.
That's true.
Racism is a moral issue, right? I mean, you can't legislate morality. I mean,
That's
you
right,
can't-
that's
you
right,
can't-
that's right.
That's it.
That's right.
I agree with
It's
you
an
there.
individual responsibility, really. It's an individual responsibility. I think we have encounters every day where we have opportunities to check out ourselves. I mean, every single day, we can choose to behave one way or the other. If we encounter that some racism in ourselves, you know, in that encounter, then it's our responsibility to do something about it, you know, because, you know, you're gonna, if you have any kind of awareness at all, it's gonna make you feel uncomfortable, right? So if it's feeling uncomfortable, then, hey, do you want to keep having that uncomfortable feeling, you know?
I think I consider myself black. Well, some people think I'm white brown, but I don't think so. I think I'm black or whatever. Well, in the inside, I think I'm any color. I am a part of the cure. Are you?
A good example. If you like football, but you just happen to be white in Bermuda, you really would like to play football. You're just watching it on television. You really, really would like to play football. Then are you going to allow yourself to go where the football is? You know, it's like anything else that you need for yourself, you know, for your own growth. If you'd like to play in the Philharmonic, for example, or say for black people, the BMDS, you know, that's sort of like a no-go area for black people. You know, if you'd like to do drama, it's Bermuda Music and Dramatic Society. It's perceived as a foreigner white place, and well, I won't say it, but the thing is that is, BMDS has been trying to get more Bermudians
Yeah, but then
involved,
there's white
but
people don't come to anything.
No, but
that
listen,
Patricia Paxson and there's other
Yeah,
black producers put on.
I
They
agree.
say it's not for them. The
Right, but
Bermuda
then,
Festival,
I have
the Bermuda
finished
Festival, when you go there, it looks like you're in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that they bring doesn't appeal to me, okay? So therefore, like they don't even consider.
Well, that's
black
just the
people,
point that I'm trying
the
to
organizers.
make. That's I didn't really make my point. I've almost forgotten what it was. But if the point that I was trying to make is that if I, a black person, would like to learn, would like to act, there are not that many opportunities. Patricia Pogson is doing it. BMDS is doing. Who else is doing acting? Not too many outlets
There are a lot of people
for acting.
that do it.
But if I would like to do the kind of acting that is done at BMDS, right, rather than the kind that is at Patricia Pogson's, maybe with the kind of plays that she does, then I should feel free to go to BMDS. And if it's uncomfortable, the social environment is uncomfortable for me, then I need to tell myself, what did I come here for? So it's us that are saying it to ourselves.
Right, and it's this level of discomfort that
But you shouldn't have any discomfort.
But it's there. Whether or
Can't
not
deny it.
we should or we shouldn't, it is there. It is there, and I want to know: is the discomfort because you have black skin, you walk in that door, or because you have white skin and I don't like the way it looks, or
Is there
really,
something
come
else?
on, what is it? We're dancing around it here.
What is
Is it
it
that I don't
saying?
like the way you talk?
It's not the way you talk, but it's what you have to offer. I mean, she talked about what has to be offered, right? But then the situation is, and I just want to switch a little bit. This morning was church. You talked about spiritual, right? The only integrated church, basically, in Bermuda is the Church of England. And yet they quote unquote, they call it a racist church. If you went throughout this island this morning at 11 o'clock,
Who's the they that call it racist?
That's right.
it's the community.
But that's a perception.
No, it's
isn't
still
it?
that way. It's
a
not a perception. It's not a perception.
Yeah.
People say it every day.
But you know different, right?
Right.
You know it different, and so that's what's important is that you know it differently. You know that's not true. So there's no need to.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The other situation is that the head of the Church of England is a black man, right? And there are still white people in this community that don't respect that. They don't respect that. Whites still do that. If it's black orientated, they feel that they don't want a part of. They won't want to be a part of it.
And why is that, Val? Do you think? Why?
For whatever, and the principles remain the same. The philosophy remains the same, and there are issues within the church, and not only the church, but with any organization, which blacks head up, whites try the utmost to stay away from it.
I must say,
And,
that is not an exclusive feeling that comes from white people. There are black people who also do not respect black leaders because of their color. It's not exclusive to white people. We all know that.
Oh, we know that. But what I'm saying is, on the general rule, we want to know, or I basically want to know, why is it that when blacks head up situations that were at one point in time probably predominantly whites headed up, right? You put a black in there and they reach the top, and the whites just back away.
I think Bermuda was at one point a really racist place.
Yeah.
We were a racist place. It was
That's
run
right.
by
Yeah.
white people, and what happens when you create that separation is that different among races create their own communities, and that's just, and then it's passed down. I mean, it's, if you're a white and you go to the sailing club and you're black and you go play cricket, and then it's just your father and your grandfather knows how to sail, and the black grandfather knows how to play cricket. So what happens? Sailors and cricket, sailors and cricket, sailors and cricket.
Right.
There's always going to be that separation, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily, well, it's not important to me personally that white folks come to Devonshire Rec. You know, if I was doing it, it does. But what I would like white folks to notice is that, you know, we exist and we respect what you do in the community, and we'll support you any way we can. But you don't have to be my buddy. I'm not
asking you to be my buddy. I'm just asking you to you know, because blacks have always offered themselves. They offer themselves.
But today, like in this time here and now, though, I mean, this time here and now, I mean, I don't understand why it's so important that we mix on that level. I mean, if it happens, great. What I'm more concerned about is I don't want a white man, or any other man for that matter, stopping me as a human being, as a black Bermudan, as a human being, or my kids, from creating whatever life I want to create. That to me is
I
racism.
don't have anything.
I could care less.
I don't have anything wrong with that.
If I play cricket with them or not, I don't care.
Well,
but the thing is, when I do the work to get to a certain point in my life, to whether it be career, about whatever it is, I want to make sure that that playing field is level. And I think
it's not level. Let's be real.
Well, no, I'm not saying that it isn't.
Let's be real now.
That's what I'm more interested.
Is not level.
I understand that. I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying is I am more interested personally in that than I am whether or not I go to the golf club or to the cricket club. I don't really care. You know, that will take care of itself.
Let's look at our community.
That takes care of itself.
You know, let us look at our community.
I think I understand what you're saying. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's just trying to make the point that there is no intermixing. That if there was some intermixing, and she used the point of me going and having a drink with her at Devonshire Rec, that there would be a little more understanding or better understanding of each other, of each other's communities, of each other's cultures. And that's the sort of olive branch that she's saying that has been presented to the white community, that they can feel part of coming into the black community, feel part of it, but
that's all that we can do.
Whites haven't taken that offer up.
Right.
And so it's
that's all we can do.
And there's a lot of things that we do. We all like reggae. Right? White people love reggae and they like jazz. White people like reggae and they love jazz, right? What? We have a jazz show? We don't see them. We don't see them at the reggae. You know, but
it's interesting though, you know, because do you ever go to Hubie's?
Yeah,
it's definitely a black area, right? And it not only is it black owned, it's also in an area.
Like jazz.
It's an area.
People like jazz.
What is it about then?
And Molly takes good care of them when she gets around.
No, but let me go. What is it about Hubie's?
I mean,
it's a small little place.
It goes beyond
now
that.
Let's look at it. Here's the thought. If music is the common denominator, and particularly something like jazz, I offer you also Latin American music. Why not? I mean, if it's really important to you, right? Because I want to respect what you're saying, and I think what you're saying is true, even though I may be sort of countering what you're saying, you know, or sort of being kind of a devil's advocate, if you will. If that's important to you personally, then why not do something that those people like in the place that
they do it. I'm just saying that. Don't think that the people, our people are standing still because the white people are uncommon now. Don't ever believe that.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're doing the things that they like and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is that in your organizations and in your structure, one time say, look, why don't we just call up one of these black clubs or something like that and say, why don't we come over? Let's see what kind of situation it would be like. I mean, that's all. I mean, I'm just saying it in general. Because really, as an example, because really it doesn't make any difference to me. Because I know what I want. I know what I want for myself, my family, for my community.
But when you think of integration, you think that it gave freedom for blacks more than anything to be able to go places they could not go before. So there's a motivation from the
Yes.
black side. From the white side, there is no motivation.
That's exactly.
So
That's
that's what I'm thinking that
That's what Valerie's been
there's
saying all along.
why would they go to Devonshire Rec? Why would they need to go to? Because there's no motivation to go there. So
I still don't know why it's important whether they do or not.
Yeah, right. I think that in a way, I was thinking it's maybe a radical thought, but isn't there something maybe in we black people because we've been they're kind of caretakers, like mothers, been looking after white people when they're little or something. It's sort of as if we feel like we have to take care of that. Do we really have to take care of that?
No, we don't have to take care of that.
Is it our job
to take care of them either?
Is it our job?
They take care of
really?
themselves.
No,
We don't take care of ourselves.
Is it the role? Is it the job of black people to make sure that white people are doing,
No way.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's not no way.
I have a burning question. Yeah.
A burning question.
Yeah, I have a burning question. Yeah. I'm just wondering, with all that's being said, isn't it true that we are progressing? That, for instance, we probably wouldn't be able to 20 years ago have this type of conversation around like we are now. I'm optimistically think we're making a lot of progress, Like I recall, just to mention cure at this point, right? When it was first talked about, and then you realize, the reality is there is racism comments, and employers were worried, and everyone was concerned. But it's progress, It's progress. Now it's been 4 or 5 years, and we're talking more openly. We're looking within. We're praying about it. Because we want the best. I think in general, we as Bermuda people are blessed people. We know that. We basically want the best for one another, and we are trying to achieve the ultimate goal. I mean, that the world would love to have, unity, peace, love, and unity, everyone together.
Yeah. Oh, real philosophy.
Yeah, but we are going to continue to make inroads, as long as I'm here when I'm here and what we're doing. And individually, wherever we're at, we're in a small community, we can make a difference,
I think that's true, but it goes back to what we were saying is people need to challenge themselves.
That's right.
Individuals need to challenge themselves. If we, I'm an optimist as well, otherwise I don't think I would be here, but I think that people need to take that step and do challenge themselves to look at, offers that have been made in the past, offers that are being made now from either side of the community, and appreciate that for what it is, and then that's when we're really going to make some progress and move forward. But until we take that as individuals and challenge ourselves to think about it, to look inside ourselves, then we're not gonna progress as well and as quickly as we probably could do, and we should do. We owe it to ourselves as a community.
Some people will be surprised about what they can find about other people and feel really bad about what they're doing.
I am a part of the cure. Are you?
We're making progress, but this needs to continue. The only reason why we're making progress is because we're sharing and we're expressing ourselves and we're giving our opinions. And maybe this is something that needs to continue with groups like ours, but also younger with children, because they're the upcoming generation.
Absolutely.
They're just gonna inherit the feelings that our parents had, maybe, and without having any discussion about it, and being able to share where they sit and where they perceive things, then it won't continue. So it just needs to keep going.
I mean, it's about relationships, really. I mean, all relationships thrive on honesty and communication, and love and respect. All relationships, and this is our community relationship. So, if we practice that, it'll be right. And this is the start.
I think it has to do with growth too, personal growth, because without that, then you won't be able to measure where you've come or how far you've come as well. So all of those ingredients have to be there in order for race relations and issues around race to get better.
And my thing would be that we must stop talking and we must show by example.
That's right.
It's important that we show. Talk is, like they say, is cheap at times. But with the respect and the love that we show for our community and one another, we can go forward. But we have to stop talking and act.
Can I just ask you a question then?
Okay.
What would an example of someone showing you, like you kept asking us what else do we need to do to the white community to show us that you accepted that olive branch? What in your perception would be something that you could say, oh, we're making progress because this is how that community is responding?
That's a very good question.
Not just me coming down to Devonshire Rack and having
No. Devonshire Rack has had a lot of play today. And I just used it as an example. I just feel that we as a people, right, and it's been said several times here this afternoon, and my thing is respect. And that if you as white people feel that you want to extend a sincere commitment to us about moving forward, well, let's get in groups and do it. It could be via, like you said, Wally Vale is coming. That might not be everybody's cup of tea. But we just need to set some common goals and let's go forward. It could be just general living to me, and respect of one another.
I just wanted to say one last thing. One of the things that I encounter is that many people want to say, why do they want to keep talking about race all the time? Like, that's in the past, why don't we just move on? And my answer to that is that as long as there are people who feel uncomfortable, if they don't feel like they are a part of community, if they feel uncomfortable in some way racially, as long as that they have a need to talk about it, about needs, as long as you have them, they will stay until the need is gone. So that people want to talk about it, there must be a need.
Yes.
Brilliant.
I should give myself a self-evaluation so I can judge myself. In a way, it would help me not to judge anybody else because my main focus is working on making myself a better person.